So, our last match may have went to time. My match popped up, and I didn't even notice. We're down on time a little bit, but... Alright, it's pretty good. Probably going to save this probe for Mentor, and hopefully these Swords of Plowshares are pretty good. And our opponent has a Thoughtseize. So I think I'm going to respond with the Thought Scour. I don't really want our opponent to take it. I don't know. Maybe I'm not even supposed to get black mana. Maybe I should just get Island Plains. If we end up with some black cards, it's going to be kind of awkward, but not too many in the deck. Only 8. So we will see. And we just Thought Scour into a Thought Scour, so alright then. Pretty glad I didn't draw those 2 cards, but I guess I wouldn't have necessarily cracked my fetch anyway. And Mentor seems like a pretty easy keep, although if our opponent's got some creatures, maybe they just want to work on our swords. And swords does go down. Alright. Okay, we have our other island, so I guess we just fetch plains. Try to not get stifled. And we can go Mentor Probe, Flashback Therapy. Oh, Dark Ritual, I see. Well, no, I don't see. Why would you take swords? We're getting tin finned. Is that what's happening? Oh, I think this was who my former roommate played. Yep. And he said he got turn 1 games, or 2 of the 3 games, so it's pretty funny. So, Shallow Graving. I guess we Thought Scour in response. Try to find a Force of Will. We do not. We find a Therapy. Which is pretty awkward, because if we went like Probe, we could see what our opponent was up to, and then maybe dig for a discard spell. So Gristlebrand is in there. And we'll see if our opponent can kill us. After drawing 14 cards. Generally, this deck doesn't play Force of Will. So hopefully 14 is not enough cards to actually kill us, but I would be shocked. Would be plumb shocked. Pretty surprised our opponent took a Swords, since we had 2 of those, instead of a blue card that could potentially find a Force of Will. But we didn't know what our opponent was playing, and it's kind of awkward / bad to burn all of our cantrips before a Monastery Mentor. And I'm pretty sure I'm just dead. Should be like a Goryo's or another Shallow Grave. This is a Goryo's. So another 14 cards for our opponent. And we'll just let him do his thing. Not much else to do, really. Children of Corliss, perhaps. Draw your deck. And then tendrils the crap out of me. Perhaps just tendrils the crap out of me. That's also acceptable. Could ask what's taking my opponent so long, but with 19 cards in your hand, it's kind of tough. That's a lot of tendrils. That's more than enough. So Meddling Mage is pretty sweet. Surgicals are pretty sweet. Needle's pretty great. Flusterstorm's great. And I assume that this is one of those matchups where instead of necessarily killing our opponent with damage, we're probably just locking them out of the game. So I probably don't need many win conditions. Probably cut some of these mentors, certainly some of these unearths. Guess I'll keep 2 mentors. Or no, I guess I have another slot. Could have no rod for the Lotus Petals, but that doesn't seem too helpful. Maybe Jace just as an additional blue card. So we will keep this hand that has a turn 2 Meddling Mage. We'll probe first, try and find a Force, Brainstorm, or Therapy. And our opponent just has a turn 1. We drew a Flusterstorm. Haha! Don't draw land. And then think we just Flusterstorm this Entomb. They generally have more things that reanimate Gristlebrand than things like good ways to get them in the graveyard. So I guess the issue here is that our opponent can now Therapy us twice, which is probably not great. So yeah, maybe we should have just saved the Flusterstorm for the Gorios, but then again, we could Meddling Mage, Shallow Grave, or Goryo's Vengeance, and our opponent could probably just draw the other one, so maybe that's not the best. But our hand is still gassy enough that I think it's still okay. So our opponent has Goryo's Vengeance, Gristlebrand, and X. And we're just going to snap this probe to get a beater and find another land. And our opponent drew a Ponder. Hiya! Well, now our opponent gets to Ponder. But we can dig through time, try and find some stuff. Chrome Mox, eh? Exile Gristlebrand, perhaps? Yep. So, Goryo's Vengeance left over. Did our opponent keep? It chose to shuffle. Alright. So now we get to brainstorm before our dig, which is perfect. Get rid of this excess Mentor that we don't need. Ooh. Those are some magic cards. So, Goryo's Brainstorm. And our opponent's had enough. Understandable. Alright, so Chrome Mox is in there too. Maybe Null Rod is worth considering. And yeah, we probably should have just Flusterstormed the Goryo's Vengeance and then played Meddling Mage on Cabal Therapy. That might have been better. Can see the Null Rod. Opponent's trying to go pretty fast though. Mentor seemed okay that game. Actually killed him very quickly, which was nice. I think this is okay. Maybe the Null Rod should have came in on the play. And this hand is certainly not good enough. Both of our white making lands, so we can't even cast these digs really. And this hand is Terabad. Not as Terabad as the last hand. We do have a turn 1 therapy and a turn 2 therapy, but I don't know if this is good enough. And we're going to slow roll this to make our opponent think that we're keeping a bad hand. Otherwise, the turn 1 therapy would probably be on Force of Will. And my water thing is leaking everywhere, which is not good. Alright, fine. Take my force, you jerk. You big jerk. So, no Entomb. And does that mean I want to get a Scrubland? I think it does. So, opponent likely just going to cast a Ponder. And they did shuffle. So we Thought Scar ourselves, try not to mill this Scrubland. We do have Meddling Mage, but our opponent has both Shallow Grave and Goryo, so I guess we name Entomb. Scrubland we added is paying dividends. I like it. So we'll see if this does anything. No Entombs for you. Or me, I guess. But I don't have any Entombs. So yeah. It's just good deck building right there. And we'll see what our opponent can do to get out of this. Sometimes they have show and tell. Sometimes they have a couple careful studies. And we could just therapy one of the things this turn. I don't think we're going to do that, though. I think we're going to play Robot Owl first. And then if we draw a fetch land, great. Nope, no fetchies. Only thought scourries. Our opponent has 3 mana and 2 unknown cards. I guess we should find out what those cards are. The people want to know. Does have an Entomb. Great. Great. And a Reanimate. Great. So what do we want to therapy? That's the question. Pretty soon our opponent's not going to be able to reanimate Gristlebrand at all, so we could just take the Goryo's and the Shallow Grave. Okay, those are some magic cards. I don't think I want this Mentor. I think we just take Shallow Grave and Reanimate. Or Shallow Grave and Goryo's. Opponent probes us, so now they know what's going on. I think we're doing okay. Yeah, that's fine. Guess I could have played around that. I was also thinking about just not sacking the Strix this turn. But I did not think about the Reanimate. So that was my B. Now we have to fight through this somehow. No one can beat the Robot Owl, we know that. I think we just get a Tundra. Find a dig through time, so that's pretty nice. I think I'm going to snap Probe. Then we have mana left to dig through time. And we also have Snap Surgical open in case like the worst case scenario happens. So opponent found a Gristledad. That's their hand. Ooh, Jace. That's kind of cute. Could bounce our own Strix. I'll take Therapy Jace. I'm in there. So we have to be careful to not just get like raw tendrils out. So our opponent has Gristlebrand, Dark Ritual, Entomb, Children. So we can't get tendrils out, so we might as well just keep our beaters. So Dark Ritual, Children, Tendrils you. That's 6 damage. We're still good. And even if our opponent draws a land and Dark Rituals out of Gristlebrand, we have a Jace. So I think we're doing alright. Opponent should have a white duel in there, but I guess not. Children is just a dead draw. I guess you have Petal. So it looks like we end up going 2-2. Massacre, really? Okay then. That's a good card. So now our opponent has Ritual, Entomb, Gristlebrand, Children. So good thing we took that Shallow Grave. And we draw Force of Will, so that should be that. But just to be safe, we'll Therapy, they'll Entomb in response, we'll Fate Seal them. And then play Robot Owl for the final points of damage. Robot Owl. And then even if it's something we had to push, we still had Snap Surgical open, so. Locked it up. We did it. Unless this is the thing. I guess we still had Force Will too, so. Dark Ritual, cool. Concede, cool. Alright, 2-2, punted against Miracles. Built our deck poorly against Delver. Deck is a lot of fun. But needs some work. Definitely needs some work. So, yeah. If you guys have any thoughts or ideas, definitely let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. I hope it was fun for everyone. And I'm going to go back to Charlotte Sultai. So, yeah. I'll see y'all later.